Valve's Steam Deck officially released back in February of last year. While that was the official release window, you'd be lucky to get your hands on one. The rollout for this thing was crazy. There was never a clear indicator of when your pre-order would be ready, just sometime within whatever quarter you managed to get into. When your number was up, you'd get an email and have 3 days to pay the remainder to actually get one shipped. Luckily, that's pretty much done now, and anyone that orders their Steam Decks today should have them within a few weeks. So if you're looking into picking up one of these things, you might be thinking, how useful is this $400+ device for my gaming needs? So far, I've been able to use my Steam Deck for my Steam library, but also Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, and Amazon Luna without any real issues. I've also gotten it to work with other launchers like Epic and GOG with a few hiccups, not to mention the fact that I've been able to emulate just about anything I've wanted to with this thing. I'll share my experience, and you can be the judge on whether the Steam Deck is right for you. I got my Steam Deck back in the middle of September, and since that time, I've already logged a lot of hours with the device. It really has slowly become my favorite way to game, both on the go and honestly around the house. It's taken me a little bit of tweaking to get to that point, so a word of caution to anyone that is thinking about picking one of these things up. The Steam Deck is just a glorified Linux-based computer in a handheld form factor. Valve has done a really good job of making sure the experience of playing Steam games is as plug and play as possible. It's almost a perfect console-like experience if that's all you want to do. That being said, if you plan on messing around with anything other than what's labeled verified or playable on Steam's launcher, you're going to have to tweak it and fight with it some. The easiest way around this would probably be just to install Windows on the device, but even that has some quirks. I've tried it and I got it to work fine, but I really wanted that more console-like experience that comes with SteamOS, so I've tried to do everything I can and as much as possible without using Windows. Some of my workarounds do involve cloud gaming, which I admit kind of defeats the purpose of Steam Deck's portability, but I use it on my couch most of the time, so I can just sit in there and be out of this room, and it really hasn't been much of a problem for me. The first thing I needed to see if I could get going was Game Pass. Before the Steam Deck, I never really did much gaming on the PC, so my Steam library consisted of Marbles on Stream and Stream Avatars. Those aren't exactly the most conducive games for the device in my opinion, and I already had access to so many games on Game Pass that I really couldn't bring myself to start buying games on Steam before I even knew if I liked the thing. Unfortunately, barring a Windows installation, there's currently no way to install Game Pass games for local play on the Steam Deck. The Game Pass on PC application is a UWP application. That stands for Universal Windows Platform. In layman's terms, Game Pass is specifically and exclusively designed to work only on Windows operating systems. I don't know if Microsoft will work with Valve to bring Game Pass locally to the Steam Deck, but they do have an official guide over on their support page on the official method to get the cloud version of Game Pass up and running on the Steam Deck. It's really easy to follow, and honestly, the performance isn't bad. I wouldn't sign up for any esports tournaments or anything like that, but for non-competitive and narrative-driven games, it really is a pretty great experience. It's worth mentioning that I have a pretty decent internet connection at my house, so your mileage may vary depending on where you live and what types of internet speeds are available to you. Luna is an online cloud gaming service from our friends over at Amazon. If you'd like to learn more about Luna, I did a whole video before my break where I talk about these services and my experience with it during the early access. A lot of what I said in that video is still true today, with the addition of more games, channels, and better stability. Now, I'm honestly kind of a fan of what they're doing. Luna works basically the same as Xbox Cloud Gaming with one exception, and it can be kind of frustrating to anyone that's trying to get it to work on the Steam Deck, and that would be getting the Steam Deck's built-in gamepad to work. Luna doesn't currently support the Edge browser that Microsoft has you set up for Game Pass in their official tutorial. I used Chrome, and everything loaded fine except for the gamepad. Turns out, all you have to do to fix the issue is run the same command script that you have in the control panel for Edge. Just change Edge to Chrome, and everything should work perfectly. Getting PlayStation Plus games to work is a bit more involved. As far as I'm aware, there isn't any way to stream PlayStation Plus games through a browser, so your only option is to download the PlayStation Plus PC application. This application is, you guessed it, only for Windows. Thankfully, most of the games on Steam's library are also only for Windows, and Linux users around the world have been playing them anyway for as long as I can remember. All it takes is a compatibility layer that tells your operating system how to interact with a .exe file. That all sounds really complicated, but all you have to do is download the PS Plus.exe from the PlayStation website. Once you do, add it to your Steam library as a non-Steam game, open the game properties, and force it to use a working compatibility layer. I used Proton 6.21-GE-2, and it hasn't given me any problems. There's just one little quirk. Every time you launch the app, you'll need to use the touchscreen to manually enter controller mode. From that point, your gamepad will work fine. I recommend remapping one of the touchpads though to the escape key. Otherwise, you won't be able to exit a PlayStation game without completely closing the application. Most other game launchers like Battle.net, Epic, or GOG should also work like the PlayStation Plus application, as long as you can find the right compatibility layer. But that's not exactly what I did to get Epic and GOG working on my Steam Deck. I used the Heroic Games Launcher that you can download for free from the Discover Store in desktop mode. Once you get it installed, you can add it to Steam as a non-Steam game just like we've done before, and boom, you're almost done. Launch Heroic, sign into Epic or GOG, and install a game. It's literally that simple. Now, not every Epic game will work, so I wouldn't buy a game there specifically to play on the Steam Deck unless I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that it already worked. Fortnite, for example, has an anti-cheat client that isn't compatible with the Steam Deck. At the time of recording, most competitive shooters are not compatible. That doesn't mean that all competitive games are out though. The Steam Deck remains my favorite way to jump into a couple rounds of Rocket League on the go. Well, kind of on the go, as long as you have an internet connection. Now, I know what you're really wanting to know. Yeah, Webby, but can you emulate on the thing? Well, yeah, just like you can on basically every computer. Seriously, it's just a Linux computer. I think I've put more hours into this thing on emulation alone than any other form of play that I've tried or talked about so far. There's a lot of different methods for getting emulation to work and up and running on the Steam Deck, but the two that I think work the best are EmuDeck and RetroArch from the Steam store. EmuDeck was what I tried first, and for those of you that want a complete and clean user experience, it's pretty freaking awesome. The installer adds pretty much every emulator you could possibly want and packages it all together, and the rest is pretty self-explanatory, even down to the folder system. It puts everything there. All you really have to do is just drag and drop your legally obtained ROMs and ISOs into the correct folder, and you're up and running. On top of that, EmuDeck also has a Steam backend updater plugin thingy. I'm not really sure what to call it, but it's essentially a step that you take that has the EmuDeck architecture add games, artworks, and everything like that into your Steam library as non-Steam games. It even places them into collections based on the console. It's pretty clean. If you don't care much about the aesthetic and the customization as much as just a simple way to get things working with as little effort as possible, but you still don't want it to look just like hot garbage the whole time, RetroArch through Steam may be the perfect solution, sort of. Now, really the only issue I ran into using the Steam version of RetroArch was getting cores to load. It works fine on Windows, but for some reason, I just couldn't get it to download the cores that I wanted that didn't come automatically installed on the Steam Deck. The workaround for this was pretty easy though. All you have to do is download the standalone version of RetroArch for Linux, which if you used EmuDeck already, it's already installed. Download the core you want there, and then move that core from the file system of the vanilla RetroArch to the Steam RetroArch files. Now honestly, you may be asking yourself, why should I bother doing that when I can just play the games on the standalone version? Well, because the gamepad configuration on the Steam version is already spot on. It's super clean. And I didn't have any issues with lag or input hesitation or anything with it like I have on the vanilla version. Not only that, but your retro saves get treated as Steam cloud saves. So as long as you open the same ROM on your Steam Deck and your computer, your save data will transfer seamlessly. You also get to take advantage of Steam's online architecture for multiplayer, specifically online multiplayer. Forget waiting for Nintendo to release GoldenEye or for Xbox to figure it out. No, if you have that ROM, you can play GoldenEye online multiplayer today, right now, on your Steam Deck, or honestly on your Windows computer if you don't have the Steam Deck yet. Download it, it's worth trying. So what do you think? Will you be spending all of that money that Grandma and Grandpa gave you because you're simply impossible to shop for and they didn't know anything to get you for Christmas? Or do you think it's not for you? Let me know down in the comments. I'm interested to hear what you say. And thanks so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. If you want to hang out with me, I'm about to begin streaming on Twitch again, so you can come hang out there, or you can continue the conversation over on Twitter. I'd love to hear from you there. Thanks again for watching. I hope you're having a very happy new year, and hey, share this with a friend. Maybe a friend that either is thinking about getting a Steam Deck or that you're trying to convince to get a Steam Deck so you guys can play GoldenEye together or other fun things. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.